The church is very predestinarian, both in their understanding of fate and of the necessity of deferring to the Creator in all things. It's also helpful to note CAG theology is cessationist. They do not believe miracles are possible in our day, and they do not expect Almighty God to work miracles. Rather, Almighty God's work is in the uttering of new words, i.e. the prophetic utterances. I also have uncovered similarities between the CAG and many innovative Christianities in the present day. So many, in fact, that this has become my main research project now. My study, Next Gen Christians, compares new and alternative Christianities from the United States, East Asia, and Latin America, and I hope to share more of my findings on these topics at future AARs. Not many people know about Gordon's years of research on and advocacy for Chinese Christians. He came to study the CAG through the local church, Lord's Recovery Movement, a group he had worked with for many years, and which has an important role in Church of Almighty God history. The first converts were from local church-affiliated house churches. Gordon has, more than any of us, worked to chart the institutional history of the Church of Almighty God. He also has considerable experience working with the Chinese government and has taught annually at National Security University in Beijing. Gordon has captured changes in the public presentation of the CAG, and I'm ever grateful for his having saved copies of websites before they were modified and taken down. The reason why I put this up is because the Church of Almighty God refers to the Chinese Communist Party as the Great Red Dragon. And when I started this project 2 years ago, you could find Great Red Dragon cartoons on the internet and lots of images and memes that were being put out by the CAG themselves. This is the type of information that they've been modifying, presenting publicly, and Gordon has done a very brave job of actually saving copies of websites in a way that's very essential to future scholars. In contrast, Massimo Introvigne has been the most activist among CAG researchers. His investigation of the 2014 McDonald's killing in Shandong argues convincingly that the murder of the woman was perpetrated by a different, much smaller religious group than the Church of Almighty God, which was blamed for the attack. The incident was used to justify the arrest of about 1,000 CAG members in the summer of 2014, and it stands as the most damning example of the Chinese government's practice of circulating false charges. Massimo and Rosita Sorite have advocated for CAG refugees in human rights forums around the world, and Massimo has launched a website, Bitter Winter, focusing on religious freedom and human rights in China. For many groups, an already precarious state say this is quickly worsening. Massimo, Gordon, and I agree that many of the most serious charges against the CAG are false accusations. And let me include here a message from a CAG member, my main fellowship partner. I asked her a few weeks ago what to say in this presentation, and she wanted me to tell you the accusations of violence and criminality are rumors started by the Communist Party. This is a point that I believe both Gordon and Massimo would corroborate. And finally, Gordon, Massimo, and I are collectively concerned that the Chinese government is working diligently to control international understanding of the situation, including seeking to influence foreign scholars. The collective goal of many scholars working on religion in China is to change the law and end the Seijiao list so that being a member of a religious minority is not a crime. One of the greatest changes in terms of the Church of Almighty God since 2016 has been a growing receptivity to meeting with scholars and journalists. We've been able to visit communities in the US, Korea, and Taiwan, and this signals the desire of the Church of Almighty God to operate in the open. As Massimo points out, in countries where it is safe, the Church of Almighty God has established churches the public can access, and they do not hide their identity. So for further information, I recommend that you visit the website, holyspeaks.org.